So in part 2 we crawled ourselves up above the Arctic Circle on very icy roads. But that was not because of extreme cold weather, unfortunately, but because it was unusually warm weather above the Arctic Circle. So it was just around freezing, but it rained, which fell on the snowy cold roads and turned into ice immediately. And when we arrived at Jeda, about 40 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle, it was plus 4 degrees Celsius. And in the evening we got pretty heavy rain. So we hoped for some better weather and colder weather. That was, after all, what we wanted to drive in with this Tesla. But the weather didn't turn around for the better, quite the opposite.
The weather has not improved. Instead, it has gotten worse. We have just got a weather warning about a storm coming and a lot of rain or snow coming. Roads are getting closed further north. Ferries are closing. And here, as I showed you last night, it has been raining and therefore it has been freezing at night. So we have nothing but ice. So it is getting a little bit too dangerous now, and the whole north part of Norway has a storm warning. So we don't want to push it too far. We wanted an extreme road trip, but we wanted extreme cold weather. Didn't want storms and rains and ice on the road. So we are on a road right now to go into Sweden. That we're very close to the Swedish border. So we're going to try to flee into Sweden because the coast of Norway is already, being hit by the storm. So yeah, that's not good.
And we could also see that even all the way up at Cape North, it was still only a couple of minus degrees during the day, so even if we could get up there, it would not give us some nice cold weather that we were hoping for. So we had to drop the idea of getting to North Cape. But now we had to get out of there and flee over the mountain to get into Sweden to get away from the storm front that was about to hit us. But that was easier said than done, with this little mountain road totally covered in ice. So we put on some snow chains just to get some traction, because my normal winter tires with no spikes were not able to drive out of here. So we only had 2 snow chains with us, so we put them both on the front tires so we were able to steer the car. But this was not just a straight main road we were on here, this was a little windy dirt road that also had some small hills on it. And in hindsight, we should probably have put 1 snow chain on the front and 1 on the back, because going downhill on a road that leaned slightly to the side just made the back end slip out every time we touched the brake. But just so you understand just how slippery this road was, my brother-in-law went out to show you. But this turned out to be a very difficult little drive, because we had to go down this little hill which made a 90 degrees turn at the bottom and went over a bridge, and every time I touched the brake the back end would glide out because the road was not level. So we had to brake steer, brake steer, brake steer, brake steer to get down to the corner, back up a bit to get the car in the right direction of the bridge. And since the road was still leaning to the side, we could not brake anymore or we would hit the bridge, but just had to let it go and steer it through the bridge. But we did get through this place and crawled ourselves up the last little hill to get back on the main road. And luckily here there was a little gravel on the road, so here we could drive without the snow change. And then we just had to drive over the mountains into Sweden. We were only about 17 kilometers from the Swedish border, but there was no one there. They probably didn't want to get out in the middle of nowhere in this bad weather. They probably thought that nobody would be stupid enough to drive in this kind of weather. Well, except these two stupid Danes trying to escape the storm that was about to hit Norway. So we drove over the mountains and the temperature dropped again to freezing as we got higher and the rain turned into snow. And the road over the mountain pass was covered in snow, so we drove very carefully not to get into an accident or get stuck of any kind here in the middle of nowhere, because we didn't really meet anyone up here. So we just took our time driving up over the mountain, and as we came down on the other side, sheltered by the mountains from the bad weather on the other side, the weather started to clear up and the sun started to come up and lighted this little heart shape in the lake, welcoming us to safety here in Sweden. And then we started to drive south. But just as we got away from the mountain, we got to a little famous place here in Sweden, the Lapland test track on Lake Ujara, where many car companies comes to do a winter testing of their cars, and we did also see a few camouflage cars on the road in the area. So we thought we would do a little winter testing of the Tesla as well. But this was a private racetrack, so unfortunately we could not go on the racetrack itself, but we did go out and had a little chat with the guys in the hut before they told us politely to leave the track. And so we did, and had a little fun on the way out of the lake. What a great car this is, and now also winter tested on the Lapland ice driving.
And I'm now in Sweden charging and getting ready to go down further down south. So we're not going to stop the road trip. We're going to keep on pushing the car for another 2 days through the mountains and snow and cold weather. But we have to let go of going up to North Cape. Become too dangerous. It was already a bit dangerous on day 3 with ice on the road, and yeah, but going further up with a storm coming in, heavy rain, heavy snow, no thanks. We wanted extreme, but extreme cold, not extreme weather like falling ice. So we're safely back to Sweden now, and we're going to continue the road trip over here. And as you can see, the weather lovely. First time in 2 days we have seen the sun and the blue sky compared to the tough coastline of Norway. So, but we're gonna drop the North Cape. Not gonna be able to get up there, but we continue pushing a little Tesla and drive it further down south now. Funny enough, the coldest weather we have had has been in the south of Norway. So didn't get much colder, actually got warmer above the Arctic Circle. What the heck is going on? Well, now we're going to continue our little road trip and push the car a little bit further.
Yes, we continued driving south, and the further south we came, the colder it got. And after 16 hours of driving, we finally came to Vemdalen, where we would stop for the night.
Cold weather. Finally, we got some really cold weather. And we're down south again. Oh, crazy. We have had some great weather, great driving conditions today when we got to Sweden, but and got a bit away from the mountains and Norway and ended up here in Sweden. And now we're down just a little bit south of Trondheim in Norway actually, but just in Sweden, and a little bit south, and we have minus 12 degrees here. Perfect. So finally some cold weather to test out the car and push it even further. But we have been pushing the car today. We started off at 6:30 or something like that. So we have been at it again for 16 hours again. Yeah. So a long day of driving again. But the Tesla, you can probably hardly see it right now, but right there under the light I put up so you can see me. It's just been a trooper. We yet again put the snow chains on and got us out of trouble. And I've just been driving all day long, supercharging 3 times. It doesn't care that it's cold. It just drives. What a wonderful car. What a wonderful car. This is absolutely amazing. And finally, some cold weather. Minus 20. That's much better than plus 4 above the Arctic Circle. I mean, come on. What the hell's that about? Good to be in the cold again. Can you see my breath? It's cold. Wonderful. All right, see you tomorrow.
And after a nice sleep, we got up, and today the car could get a little rest, because today we wanted to get out of the car and get a little motion back in our bodies, so we drove into town. There was of course a couple of destination chargers at the parking place where the car could use up while we rented a couple of skis and had some fun on the mountains.
It is skiing time.
And after a fun day on the slopes, we went back to the cabin where I prepared the car for me to sleep in. So I put these sunscreens on that I have got from Evernex. Because the Tesla has a glass roof, you're pretty much just sleeping in a glass bubble, and the only thing between you and the freezing cold outside is one layer of glass. So to keep the heat in and the cold out, I put up these sunscreens from Evernex that fits every single window, even these little ones in the back. And soon the car was ready, and I turned on camp mode, and my Tesla had become a little camper.
Hello. Welcome to my living room. Tonight I'm gonna sleep in the car because it has been the coldest place we've been is here in Sweden. Even though we got down south now. Last night we had between 15 to 16 minus degrees Celsius, so pretty cold. So I hope we can have the same tonight, so I can test out the camp mode. Because when we got over North Cape, it was only, 4+ degrees. Crazy weather we have seen here. But today we had a bit of fun in the snow on the mountains, doing some skiing. So that was really cool. But tomorrow we have a long day ahead of us, so I'm gonna go to bed now. Just chilling and relaxing with the fire right now. But we gotta get up very, very early tomorrow because we probably have another 16 hours on the road tomorrow before we get home. We're gonna drive all the way through down Sweden, over the bridge to Denmark, and then go home. My home is Aarhus in Denmark. So last big push for the little Tesla. Hopefully it can do the job of keeping me warm tonight and get us home tomorrow as well. So far it has been a trooper, this little car, but yeah. Now I am busted. I'm gonna go to sleep. See you tomorrow.
Good morning. So, a good night's sleep in the car. Unfortunately, it didn't get too cold. Only a couple of degrees Celsius minus. So, not a big challenge for the car. It has been plenty warm. Actually, maybe a little bit too warm in here. Not the biggest challenge for the car. It had lost about 21%. of battery went from 87 to 66. So yeah, all good, all fine. So now we just have to get up, pack the car, and get moving and make the last big push for the car. And we should be home tonight. And right now it's 4:20 in the morning, but we need to get up and get going. So yeah, easy peasy, sleeping in the car in a couple of minus degrees. I would have loved to try that with minus 30 degrees. That would have been fun to see how the car handled that, but not this time, not this time. So, but now we're gonna get up and get going. All right, let's get on the road.
So we were back on the road at 5 AM with the moon lighting the road in front of us. But soon the sun came up and we had really good weather and the road was fine, so good driving condition and the charging network was still good. We were still only using Tesla chargers because that was just the cheapest, easiest, fastest, plentiful and the most reliable chargers out there. And with the new 250 kilowatt chargers we could quickly get back on the road after our little walk we would do or a little lunch break. And I must say the frunk really did work great as a fridge. Even in the freezing temperature we did go through, it never froze over or got too cold. We did have a little electric cooler with us we could hook up to the 12-watt socket, but we never needed to do that thanks to the trunk. And speaking of the 12-volt socket, I did get myself a new tray for the middle console from Evanex as well, because normally the one you used to get with the car, you could not have that tray in and still use the 12-volt socket at the same time. But this one you get from Evanex, they have actually made a little hole for the 12-watt socket, so that was awesome. And I also bought this little converter from the 12-watt socket that would convert into a normal 2-pin socket, so we could charge anything we needed in the car if we had to, because Tesla unfortunately do not have this normal outlet in the car, as we see some of the new ones on the market coming out with. So we had to buy this little extra gadget to be able to do so. But we pushed on, going from supercharger to supercharger, and was again reminded of how the other energy company just don't get how many chargers are needed when we get a lot more EVs on the road.
One AM charger, one mirror charger, and an ocean of Tesla charger. Brand new AM charger. 4-star. They just don't get it.
But we finally got back to Denmark all the way back home. But this journey did end up very different from what we had first planned. We didn't get it as cold as we had hoped for, and we were not able to get up to the North Cape. But we did end up using one more day on the road pushing the car. It did get one day of rest on the road trip when we went for skiing, but we did push the car for 6 days where we were on the road for 12 to 17 hours, including charging stop, lunch breaks and so on in freezing temperature. So that was pretty tough for us, but the little Tesla didn't seem to care at all. The range dropped about 20%, that was kind of it. We drove 4,410 kilometers and used 999 kilowatt hours, which is 4.4 kilowatt hours per kilometers, and with the 75 kilowatt hours in the car, a full battery would give us about 330 kilometers of range, where I would normally get just under 400 kilometers with mixed driving in real world range. So not bad at all. And thanks to the preheating of the battery that the Tesla does, we didn't really see any drop in charging speed because of the cold weather, nothing noticeable anyway. And the all-wheel drive Tesla was just an absolute pleasure driving in the snowy mountains. You never had to worry about being in the right gear going up a steep mountain road, and the Tesla just always have more power than you would ever need. You just push the pedal and the little Tesla goes, without a sound and any emission. What a joy. And even though it used more power going up the mountains, well, the electric car has a little trick up their sleeves that the ICE car can never do, and that is when we're going down the mountains, it regenerates power from the wheel back into the battery, so we're actually charging on the way down. So this Tesla is just the perfect road trip car in my opinion. So we got to push the car more than I would ever recommend anyone doing on a road trip, because this is just too much driving for too many days straight in cold weather. So there's just no doubt that the Tesla can do whatever road trip you want to do, no matter how cold or how warm or how long. The only thing that is missing in this switch to EVs is convenient charging everywhere on the planet. It is no problem here in most of Europe and the US and China, especially if you have a Tesla, but Tesla already said they will triple their charging network in the next 2 years, and many gas stations are starting to make chargers as well, and together with all the other energy providers that are setting up chargers everywhere, well, we will soon be able to travel anywhere on the planet in our electric cars. And we really try to push the car as hard as humanly possible. But it just didn't care. What a great little electric car Tesla has made here, and what a great adventure it took us through.
We made it!
Home sweet home. Finally back after 17 hours on the road. The boy's charging right now. It has been an absolute trooper on this trip. Hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next one. And remember, be nice.